everybody. It's Talk to Me Tuesday. It's your girl Anja, and today's guest has the key to making this year your best year yet. She has a business. She's the CEO of Live Well and Enhance You. She's so incredible for a lot of different reasons. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to know her. Please help me welcome a holistic health coach, Sarah Elise.
Anja, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's been going on in your world? So good to see you. It's been a
Oh my
while.
goodness. I have so much going on, so we'll get into that. But you
Yeah.
have even more to talk about. You have been up to so many things since college. It's funny because we met in a yoga class in college, and now you're out here spreading the gospel of like living your best life. So tell me how you even came up to having this idea. I think you launched your business in 2017, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It was a long journey. I would say that fitness, that yoga class, actually, even when I was in that yoga class, I just felt like so good the rest of the day, right? You would go in that class and then you're like, ooh, my body is just like so tight. I'm like stressed about exams. And then all of a sudden, wow, now I feel great and I'm ready to take on the day. So that feeling I carried on with me into studying fitness, personal training, and Pilates. And then I got into the holistic part of like nutrition and self care practices, probably in my mid 20s. So that inspired me to then launch my business. And it's turned from a coaching business to a consultancy. So it's very exciting, all the new things that are happening in 2023.
Was there a moment that like pushed you into knowing you were ready to start your actual business?
Yes. So, unfortunately, grief has the power to both hurt us, both professionally and also personally. And that was when I realized that I was burned out. My father got sick at the age of 60 with stage 4 kidney cancer. And that's when I started to reevaluate what was really important to me. And I was working 45 hours in the fitness industry, grinding away, not really having any time for myself. I would be grabbing a bar, or grabbing Subway or Chipotle, and just try and relax for 10 minutes. But then I was on to the next client, on to the next place. And I needed a change because I didn't want to burn myself out. I didn't want to look at my life years on down and be like, what was it for? And I created Live Well Enhance You because also I wanted to be able to see my son or daughter, future self, walk down the aisle with me. And I want everyone else to be able to have their father or mother walk them down the aisle. So that's my mission personally.
So how do you take that kind of like instead of working like one on one with people, I saw that you like now do like corporations and like businesses and like how is that?
Yeah, I developed that actually during the pandemic because I
Oh.
worked for a lot of companies doing fitness classes,
Hmm.
and I saw how they were run, and it wasn't great because on your own you can make an impact with individuals, but I noticed that when I would come in for a lunch and learn, they were literally eating their lunch as they talked to me and ask me questions. And I was like, well, this is not helping your wellness because we're essentially taking you out of that prime time to socialize, get to know your coworkers, and also eat your food. And I wanted to change the dynamic of what a wellness incentive program could be for a company. So I started developing with my background in musical theater, actually. I started developing like improvisation and fun little activities that we could do as a team versus me just talking at you for 40 minutes. I know you understand what I'm saying. I know you know the basics of nutrition, but I don't know what you as an individual are currently doing in your life. So, what is it for me to assume that you're not living a healthy life, but you need to make some modifications, or you just need to take a break. So that's why I really jumped into the corporate consulting and
So
programming.
you have a background in performing arts, and I know we kind of live like this, like off the wall, like weird life. So when you
Yeah.
do talk to these like straight laced corporate people and like you don't want to just give them a speech, but you have them up and doing like improv things, like what, like how do they take that? Or do they look at you like, nah?
So I use it on terms that they understand because things that are presented to them are icebreakers, you know? So doing improv icebreakers is a little different. And we just start to get creative in the way that, you know, they introduce themselves to me and I introduce themselves to them. Like, I'm not afraid to sing my name, you know? They're like, you know, what's this special hobby or special skill you have? And if I open up and be like, hi, I'm Sarah Alysse and I love to sing, then they're like, okay, this girl's a little crazy, first and foremost, but also it gives me permission to be a little goofy. And now we're getting this, you know, back and forth and people starting to feel comfortable because I'm not super straight laced. I like to have a little fun with them. And it can be really challenging though, right? You are sitting in a room with someone that you don't know. Your company is telling you you have to attend this thing because it's going to help your stress. And they're looking at you like, okay, who's this lady? But it's really fun to use the skills that I have now in a corporate setting and share with everyone it's okay to be different and funny or weird. It doesn't matter. Just just play and bringing that play element back into the workplace.
Yeah, I think as adults, a lot of adults lose that play, and I think it's so important to still like no matter what career path and what you do, it's important to still have some of that still left inside of you.
Totally.
All right, so you literally have. I mean, what does a day in a life look like with you? Because like you literally do a lot of different things. Like, I mean, you're still singing professionally, you're still teaching classes like fitness class. Like, how do you do it? Like, what does it look like?
You know, honestly, I'm big in doing productivity hacks for myself. So
Okay.
there there's a lot of things and I need to organize my day according to what I have as my current schedule. So I'll have a few clients in the morning and then midday it might look like I'm just working on my business and organizing for the next event, for the next corporate training. I just have to be strategic. So I use the Pomodoro method a lot, and it's basically 20 minutes of looking at a specific task and conquering that. And then you get 5 minutes break. And then you do that again. And then you get like an additional 5 minute break. So always having 2 hours in my day to kind of focus on different tasks has been really helpful for me, but breaking it up into small chunks.
So does that help you not like get so overwhelmed with like everything happening?
It does. And I also, though, need to give myself some grace because this is a problem when you overly schedule these breaks. Then, if something doesn't go your way, so something ends up taking 40 minutes versus those 20 minutes, you have to give yourself grace.
Oh, that's so true. Now, I know you've been on different media outlets with your brand. So how is that like being able to like go on the news and like talk about yourself? How has that been?
It's cool. And what I love about it is you're opening up your message to a bunch of different people. And I'm very thankful because I met, or I should say, I came into the house of Chris Winfield and Jen Gottlieb, and they're incredible people. They basically wanted to do PR differently. And I joined one of their programs, and they basically told us this is how you get on the media. And it's all about service. That's what we want to do as humans is help give people options for a healthier life or for a more fulfilling life, if you will. So when you present your material to like WGN, they're wanting you to succeed. They want you to come onto their program and they want you to give their audience like real takeaways that they can use today. So it's really cool to talk to some of these anchors because it also presents new ideas to them and then their viewers. So it's really a lot of fun.
So do you feel like you have like a ripple effect going on? Like this started as something very personal and it's grown so big, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to me. And especially, I bet you get this too now doing this show. It's you're now, without even knowing, in the earbuds or on the screens of people that may have never known you, but you are making an impact. And someday they might even share with you like what this has brought to them. I had a girl that was living in Romania contact me and said, "Thank you so much. I had a podcast episode about, want to say it was managing your stress, but it was with this leader who works for Salesforce. And just by that conversation I had with this leader, she listened to it and really took away something from it and shared it with me. So you never know how big or how small of an impact you're making on someone's life.
I'm so glad you brought up your podcast. Can you share with me the title and like how you came up with that and why is it so important to you?
Yeah, so it actually comes from imposter syndrome. I
You
I
had that
felt
really bad?
I had that really bad. Imagine that, right? We all kind of go through it in different stages of our life. And I felt I always had imposter syndrome with different avenues I've been in my my career.
Well,
So
Sarah,
for the
not to cut you off, but if somebody's listening and they have no idea what we're talking about, can you like break
yeah,
down what that even is?
oh for sure. So
Okay.
imposter syndrome is literally, I'll give an example. You are on Instagram and you see a person from high school living their best life in quotes, right? But they are, in this amazing relationship. They have a career. Maybe they're a lawyer. I'll just give that as an example. They're a loyal, they see a lawyer, they have it all. And then you are looking at their feed and wishing, wow, I don't think I could have that. I don't think I could do that. I'm just me. And that's imposter syndrome because you are your only you and you're a beautiful human being. But so many people get into this mindset, this stuck mindset that I can't do that or be that. And not saying that you want to even be like this person, but you definitely feel like I can't do these things. I'm just me. And that's something that I'd say, especially entrepreneurs and specifically women, go through the most because we're seeing all the things and oh, well, he can do it because he's a man. No, if you're a woman, you can do anything a man can. So
Facts.
facts, right? And so I started the podcast because I felt I wanted to get my voice out more, but I was a little scared to do so because other people have done it. They've been so successful at it. And then when I started doing it, I realized it was also just good for my soul. So it's like a personal development thing. And I got to talk and reconnect with amazing people. So I started this podcast called Stress Free SOULutions, SOUL, because everything that we've had in our life, whether it be stressful or abundantly amazing, you it still comes from a place of I was stressed and then I had to overcome. So I wanted to hear other people's stories of how they went through something and overcame it. That was just the general. And now it's turned into so much more, from people sharing about their businesses to people sharing about their huge struggles that they've had in their lives and the stuff they needed to do to get rid of their burnout in order to thrive as a human and enjoy their life.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm definitely going to put a link so they can check it out because you have so many great guests and so many great topics you're talking about that I think when you put the world like living healthy and health, people are kind of like, right? Especially this time of year in January, I think the market is over flooded, what you should be eating and not eating. And it's like overwhelming for a lot of people. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a great point, too. It's because it's the time of getting healthy people tend to not even be able to maintain their New Year's resolutions because there's so much being thrown at them and digesting. And then they just end up saying, nope, this is not going to happen for me.
Yeah. So with your own wellness, like what would be like your biggest like challenge that you have to constantly remind yourself that like, oh, I need to just do X, Y, and Z for myself?
The number one thing that I need to do for myself is to take breaks and hydrate. Those are the two things I forget
And
about the
hydrate.
most. Yeah. Like as soon as, especially in the wintertime, right? We are overly caffeinating our bodies because it keeps us warm, whether that be tea or coffee. And it's so important just to hydrate, just to take that moment to have extra water that day. And so that you can actually feel that energy throughout, as well as taking the break and knowing like the work is always going to be here. You can just come back to it. Sometimes having that break away from it, the computer, is actually a blessing.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
for sure. Now, what would you say to somebody? I'm like closer to the DC, Washington, DC area right now. So I'm around a lot of like government workers and like military people, and like they go to work and they like deal with the government. And we all know that's a bit of a very stressful point in life right now. And they come home and they're still stressed out because it's on the news. Like, what would you say for like any government workers that are like nonstop with the like what's happening? Like, how do you live well when you work in it and you come home in it and you there's no real break? What would you say?
Well, and that is the hard thing. I'd say set boundaries with yourself. So if you are heading home and you know that you had those 20 minutes to just drive your car and listen to switch the dial to something that's going to light you up. And then when you get home, yes, you might have to check your phone. I know that there's so much going on in the news cycle 24/7. A lot of my friends in, the news always says, I don't have time to take breaks. But if you just kind of turn the dials, my best example, always just switch the dial to something else for a little bit so that you don't have to feel like you're in overdrive 24/7.
I think that is very great advice. I know in this area, the commuting is like hours of people being on the road. And if you just take that, oh, that's so good. Take that moment to like change the narrative of what's coming in your ears. Because I know on your podcast, there's things talking about like what you hear really does influence your conscience and how you live. So that's perfect. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, how do you fit your performance life into this? Like, how do you still get your love of being on stage and singing? Like, how does that come together?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, my best friend from college, we started writing songs together. And it lit me up so much that we recorded it. We've recorded a couple of songs. They'll be out in 2023. We're going to be filming a music video for both of them. And it just turned into something I wasn't expecting. I absolutely loved it. His name is Jamie Woj, and we've just been friends forever. And it actually made our friendship even stronger. And I discovered a lot about me. I always thought I was a better lyricist, but he's a really amazing lyricist, and I'm a great musician for him. So I can just create based off of what he's written, like some really, really cool um, melodies. And then on top of that, I learned some tech during the pandemic, like simple tech from home of how to make MIDI
Nice.
files. And MIDI files, for those of you that aren't into like musician terminology, it basically is taking what you did and made it into like an electronic format so that someone can produce your track and make it like bigger than just a piano and your voice. It's really, really cool. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to. And then performing wise, I was always playing the speakeasy circuit,
Yeah.
Davenport's Cabaret, on Milwaukee and Chicago. And then there was a place that I had residency at, which was really, really cool. And I would play there every Friday. And now
In Chicago?
that was in Chicago. Chicago. It's not there anymore. It was called Lower Broadway. And this guy who was the owner of Brendan's Pub, opened a really cool spot underground. But like 2019, he decided he wanted to actually move and see his kiddo in Boston. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I really learned a lot from just having that residency. And now I just play here and there at speakeasies. But I really have found a love again for actually the writing aspect. So
Very cool. Okay, Sarah, what do you hope that people left behind in 2022?
I hope that people have left behind hatred for other people.
Mm,
Something that I have been noticing, doesn't matter what platform you're on, but there's a lot of hate speech. And that's been very upsetting because we all come from different backgrounds and we should all be a united front. And hatred should be the number one thing that we can all agree on that should not be happening, especially in the United States, but it is going on globally too. But that's the number one thing I'm hoping people can leave behind, in a sense of feeling more compassionate to understand another person's story and learn from their trials and tribulations versus, capitalizing on.
I completely agree. I think that, yes. I'm a little sad because people in the beginning of the pandemic were like, we're gonna come out of the pandemic and we're gonna be like so nicer, more compassionate. I'm not quite sure that's really how it worked out. So that's
Yeah,
makes me sad a little bit for our country, like the United States. So,
yeah.
all right, you pour a lot into other people, into business, into corporations, one on one. You do it all. Who is pouring into you?
I would say my husband pours into me. He's the most lovable, supportive partner one could ask for. We actually got married last year, 10/22/22, and I planned a lot of it, but he, wanted to make sure that it just all was personalized. And so he like made our invitations. He created our ketubah that's hanging in the back over there, which is a it's a Jewish like contract. But what he did was the art, and it was very specific to us, like our love of hiking, our love of music. And he's an architect, and I'm like a serial entrepreneur. And I just love that he is so open to learning about what I do and has such a passion for what he does, as well as just like he's the best dog dad ever and just a loving partner. And that's the best I could ask for.
I love that. And I'm so happy that you found your person that loves on you. Congratulations on that wedding,
Thank you.
girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, last words of wisdom. Do you have any last words of wisdom? Do you have like a couple of things people can take away to start that living well journey?
Yeah. So I want to remind everyone that when you motivate the mind, the body will follow. So if you're in New Year's resolution mode, remember that, because it's all about mindset
Okay.
and switching that dial, reminding yourself to switch the dial when you need a break from whatever's going on in your life, that you have permission to do so and take that time for you.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Anja, for having me.
Of course. You guys, we've been watching Talk to Me Tuesday. It's your girl Anja. You can follow me at it's your girl underscore Anja. Once again, it's your girl underscore ANJA. Also, would you like to tell us where we can find you, where we can find your business?
Yeah. So you can connect with me on my Instagram at Sarah Alysse Coaching. And you can listen to fun conversations like Anja and I are having at Stress Free SOULutions. You can find it on every streaming platform. And then lastly, my business is www.livewellenhanceyou.com. Hope to
Thank
chat with you soon.
you. And like always, guys, you already know it's going to be right here in the bio, so it's easy to access her. So until next Tuesday, everyone, live well. Thank you. Bye.